إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى: لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا. صدق الله العظيم. أما بعد. We begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the only one in this world who is deserving of all and every sort of praise. We ask Allah for His help, for His guidance. We ask Him for His forgiveness. And we ask Him for help against ourselves, the evil inclinations of our own selves. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us and guide us at all times. We bear witness that there is no deity and there is no one else worthy of any worship except Allah. And we bear witness that Muhammad ibn Abdullah is the last prophet and messenger in a line of prophets that began with the first human being, and there will be no prophet after him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. He has said in a verse, he said, indeed, in the messenger of Allah, you have an excellent example to follow. Let us analyze and reflect upon this part of the verse. First of all, when we realize that Allah is telling us that in the example, in the lifestyle, in the teachings of the Messenger of Allah, we have an excellent example to follow, we have to understand that this is a blessing. This is a blessing that we have someone as a model for us that we can follow in each and every single aspect of our life. And we should say, Alhamdulillah, we should say praise belongs to Allah, and we should thank Allah for Him giving us a human being to follow. And in fact, He mentioned that when some people requested, why isn't an angel sent down to us? The response was that even if we were going to send an angel, we would have sent him in a human form. Why is it so important that the prophets and messengers, and particularly the last and final messenger whom we're supposed to follow, why is it so important that he was a human being rather than an angel, rather than some other form? Because someone could make the excuse that because they do not belong to the same species as us, because they do not belong to the same category of creation as us, we have difficult time following that person. How can we relate to someone who's not a human being on the same level that we can relate to someone who is a human being? How are they going to understand? How can we sympathize and empathize with that person? They're not going through the same feelings that we go through. They're not going through the same family relations that we go through. They're not going through the same stress that we go through, to the same obstacles in life that we have to go through. But alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent us a human being as a messenger. And therefore it means that that example should be followed, and it can be followed because we've been given a human being. And one of the other blessings that we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for is that we have the details of each and every aspect that is necessary for us to live about this human being. If you look at Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if we look at his life, we look at how he lived it, we have the details with us documented and preserved and recorded so that we can actually fulfill his life. Other role models, if you take them as your role models, do not fit the same criteria. Whether they be religious role models, whether they be secular role models, they do not fall into the same category. And that is something that we have that is unique to Islam. The preservation of the religion. The preservation of the life example of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We have that. And just to quote a priest, to quote a reverend, to see what they have to say about their own religion and about their own role model. Because if we heard it from a Muslim, someone would say, well, that's just Muslim talking against somebody else. But if you hear it from their own respected authorities, then it might click a little bit more. So this is what Reverend Dr. Charles Anderson Scott had to say in the 14th edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica. He's a reverend. This is what he had to say. He said, the attempt to write a life of Jesus should frankly be abandoned. The material for it certainly does not exist. It has been calculated that the total number of days of his life regarding which we have any record does not exceed 50. This is what he had to say about his own prophet, about his own role model, about his own example. If we want to have someone to follow in each and every aspect of our lives, that life and that role model of that person has to be encompassing. It has to be all-inclusive so that we can relate to them. If you're a father, you have to be able to relate to that person. If you're a husband, you have to be able to relate to that person in the sense that they've been married, in the sense that they've been a parent, in the sense that they've had children, in the sense that they've had spouses, in the sense that they've had to go through tough times, through peaceful times, through war, through all of the difficulties that sometimes we will have to go through. We need to be able to relate. Do we find this example in any of the other people that exist? In any of the other people that people take for role models? You don't find him in Zoroaster, you don't find him in Confucius, you don't find him in Buddha, you will not find him in any of the other role models that exist today. And alhamdulillah, that is one of the blessings of Islam, that we have authentically preserved the life story of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now if we ask ourselves, why should they be taken as examples? What was so special about these prophets, and particularly about the last prophet, that's so special? Well, first of all, we must understand that according to the human makeup, according to the psychology and the human behavior of an individual, people will naturally take others for role models. They will naturally look at other people and they will try to imitate them. You see it all the time. You see it all the time that people are influenced by others. Sometimes in good ways and sometimes in bad ways. And sometimes today in society, we have people taking rock stars as their idols. We have people taking movie actors as their idols. We have people taking celebrities, athletes, or even politicians as their role models, and they try to imitate them, they try to quote them, they try to be more and more like them. And at the same time, if you look at the news, we all know the news. If you look at the news that comes out almost every single day, you can check, online at least, which news is viewed the most. And if you look at the most popular news that's viewed, it generally has to do with celebrities and politicians or specific individuals that people want to know what's happening in their life. If you just did a quick browse today of what news happened, what you had today is the most popular news articles were a plot against David Letterman of The Tonight Show. You had the interest on the 2016 Summer Olympics, and you had the cancellation of a TV show called Kate+8. These were the most popular news articles. And then you have all those other news articles that are really not so important, such as the 3,000 people that are trapped underneath the rubble in Indonesia because of the earthquake, the 1,000 people that were killed, the mass murder of 157 anti-government protesters in Guinea, etc., etc. This happens every single day. So you notice that the interest of people happens to be on the individuals rather than on the general population, because people are inclined to follow somebody else. Now what we must understand is that the best of role models in human life have been the prophets and messengers who received direct communication from their creator, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the reason, those people may not be able to dunk a basketball into a hoop. Those people may not be able to act in a movie or to act like other people. They may not be able to race cars. They may not be able to do all of these little feats and acrobatics. But their life example, with the loftiest moral values and spiritual values that you can have, that is what made their life worthy of emulation. That is what made their life worthy of being followed. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, after this, He said, indeed, in the Messenger of Allah, you have an excellent example to follow. لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. For who? He says, for those people who hope in Allah, who hope in the last day and who remember Allah much. Meaning for